Ladies and gentlemen, the President and First Lady of the United States, accompanied by Terry Murphy.
Would you please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Service Color Guard, followed by our national anthem performed by the United States Marine Corps Band. Our thanks to the Honor Guard and the Marine Corps Band. Please be seated, sit back, relax, and enjoy your dinner. CBS News. Our speaker tonight, Norm Macdonald from Saturday Night Live. Jim Mills of Fox News. Congressman Tom DeLay, House Majority Whip. Keith Plummer of Reuters Television. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. And to the left of the First Lady, Vic Ratner of ABC News. And on this side, beginning at the end, Tina Tate, Director of the House Radio and TV Gallery. Carol Ann Mears of NBC News. Neil Lattimore, Press Secretary to the First Lady. Dave McConnell, WTOP Radio. Congressman Thomas Bliley, Chairman of the House Commerce Committee. Joe Johns, NBC News. Mike McCurry, the President's Press Secretary. Dan Rather, CBS News. Senator Don Nichols, Senate Majority Whip. And Brian Naylor of NPR. And please join me in welcoming back to our dinner this year the President of the United States and Mrs. Clinton. Dan Rather is here tonight to help this association pay tribute to a former colleague. Joan Shorenstein Baron was a producer for CBS News. After she died, an award was created in her memory. It honors excellence in Washington-based national affairs reporting. Here to present the 10th Annual Baron Award is someone who worked with her, Dan Rather.
Thank you, Mr. President, First Lady, and thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. I've been asked to present an award that is named for a woman many of us were lucky enough to know and lucky enough to miss. She left us 12 years ago, and yet it's hard to think of her as gone. That's not only because of the extraordinary job her father and her late mother, her children and husband, have done in keeping her memory alive. Joan's father, Walter Shorenstein, and her daughter, Sarah Baron, are here tonight. It's also hard to think of Joan as gone because Joan herself was so strong a presence in our lives. She worked at the Washington Post and came to CBS News as a researcher. She became one of the best producers that Face the Nation ever had, and later did equally excellent work as a producer for the CBS Evening News. Perhaps because she began as a researcher, she had a passion for accuracy and facts. But she also had a passion for fairness. She never allowed her passion for facts to get in the way of her passion for truth. When she died, a number of us, recalling that she came from a well-to-do family, observed how remarkable it was that Joan had always worked so hard, when in truth, she didn't need to work at all. But of course, Joan did need to work, precisely because she did come from her family. The Shorensteins have long believed and long proven that working, helping others, is necessary and important, that no one is ever so wealthy that she can afford not to serve. And Joan believed passionately that independent American journalism was an excellent means of serving others. Joan kept working even through a long illness. She discovered that even as her body grew weak, the work kept her spirit strong. I want to tell you these things because you may not have known Joan Shorenstein Baron. You may not realize that when the Radio and Television Correspondents Association chose to call this award the Baron Award, they could have given this prize in recognition of friendship or courage or wisdom or grace and dignity or sense of humor or love of family or a gentle, caring smile or any of those other qualities Joan possessed so quietly and so abundantly. But this award is not given in recognition of those things. It is given in recognition of work, good work, the kind of work that was important to Joan herself. She never stopped striving for excellence, even after she'd long since achieved it. I said before that I miss her, and I do. And I said it's hard to believe that she's gone, and it is. When I look, I see her still in some of her friends and colleagues and all the people she loved. I see in her people who never knew her, but who are striving in their own ways to excel as Joan once did. And I believe, I hope, that I see her spirit in those to whom this award has been given. The judges in presenting the Baron Award tonight have been some outstanding professionals. John Bisney, congressional correspondent, CNN Radio; Margie Lehrman, Washington producer for special coverage and events, NBC News; and Michelle McQueen, correspondent, ABC News. I hope you'll welcome them as they stand. Thank you especially for doing that, because let's face it, it was sporting of them to sit on an awards panel named for somebody who did not work at CNN, NBC, or ABC. The judges had this to say about their decision, and I've been asked to read it now. Direct quotation. Breadth, depth, careful reporting of complex ideas, as well as elegant production. It is the kind of work many of us say we would do if only we had the time, if only our executives would let us, if only we weren't so burdened by the press of daily events and crash of deadline. A team of producers, correspondents, editors, and videographers took advantage of the unique circumstances of last year's election, where the major candidates were decided early in the year, to take a close look at some of the most difficult and complicated public policy issues, such as immigration and rising wage inequality. And then they presented them in beautifully styled production that recalls the best documentary filmmaking. Continuing to quote from the awards committee. But we also know that the core of what we do is covering the crush of daily news. The best of us find a way to present the daily story not only with accuracy and fairness, but also with a measure of style and wit that is uniquely our own. It is especially noteworthy when that combination can be found amid the exhaustion and banality of a political campaign. And that is why the Radio and Television Correspondents Association has chosen to honor two winners this year to recognize the vastly different but complementary styles of reporting. So we honor CNN correspondent Candy Crowley. Candy. Candy is awarded this for her consistently excellent daily deadline coverage of the 1996 Dole campaign. As well, we honor CNN's Democracy in America 96 series under the direction of Pam Hill and anchored by Frank Sesno, Bernard Shaw, and Judy Woodruff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Candy Crowley and Pam Hill.
Wow. Thank you very much, first of all. I didn't know Joan Baron. I hope a little of what we've done has to do with a passion for the truth. We try. I don't need to tell anyone here that television is a team event, and this didn't have to do with me. It had to do with a host of people who, if I started naming, I'd leave some of them out. I have to mention in particular my producer, Mike Roselli. Nothing I ever did happened without Michael making it happen. Kim Siegel, another producer on the road. Let me thank CNN for its full-time commitment to politics that gave me the opportunity. I have the hotel bills to prove it was full-time. From Tom Johnson on down, that commitment was there, and it was wondrous to do it. It really was, which will come as a surprise to the people I complain to on a daily basis, but it was fun. Let me just, in particular, thank one person, the head of our political unit, Tom Hannon. I wanted to thank him especially tonight because, first of all, he gave me the opportunity to do what was a really fun thing, and second of all, because when we had a tough call on the road about what the lead was or what should or shouldn't be in a spot. And I would call Tom and I'd say, Tom, I think it should be this way. And he'd go, okay, well, you're there. I trust you. So Tom, I'll love you forever for that. For the opportunity and for the freedom, I thank you. I thank the judges very much. This is awfully nice. And again, it's a team thing to the producers and the editors and the cameramen and the sound techs and all the people that made this happen. This is yours a lot more than it's mine. Thank you very much.
Democracy in America consisted of 7.5 hours of programming, essentially news analysis. Hard, slogging work, so I think sometimes not as exciting as the daily news. But I'd like to also think that it was the work that in many ways the First Amendment intended, and for giving us the time to do that, for supporting us in that effort. I'd like to say great thanks to Ted Turner, to Tom Johnson, and to a wonderful team, and that worked incredibly hard to make this possible. And I think I'd like to say particular thanks to a great man in our industry, because he's retiring soon, John Lane, who has always stood for the best in television news. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and congratulations again to our colleagues at CNN. Now, it is my honor to introduce the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Members of Congress, members of the press, fellow sufferers. I would like to thank the Radio and Television Correspondents Association for inviting me this evening. I want to give Terry Murphy a special thanks for the kind introduction, and also, given my condition, I'd like to give a special thank you to the Ridgewell Catering Company for bringing me here tonight. Enough laughs. I have come here tonight to speak about a topic of perennial concern in Washington, something we never get around to doing anything about, and that is the close, some would even say cozy, relationship between the rarefied elite who make public policy and those who report on it. And on that topic, just let me say this. Congratulations, Andrea. You know that fellow standing next to you in the newspaper photos a few days ago? He looked exactly like Alan Greenspan, only exuberant. I want all of you to know that until recently I had planned out a really dramatic entrance to this dinner. And then George Bush stole my thunder. I mean, look at this. This guy is 72 years old. He jumps out of a plane at 12,000 feet. He lands without a scratch. I fall 6 inches and I'm crippled up for 6 months. It's ridiculous. Now, as you might imagine, my injured knee adds complications to my schedule. In fact, you know, just when I was on the way over here tonight, well, as you have seen, my press secretary, Mike McCurry, just handed me a note. According to wire reports, former President Bush has just bungee jumped off the Seattle Space Needle. That reminds me, I was supposed to make another announcement tonight. Mr. Murphy has asked me to tell you that the Radio and Television Correspondents Association has decided to adopt the practices of the Democratic National Committee. That means you can all pick up your $1,000 refund checks on the way out tonight. You know, I'm getting a little sick of these fundraising stories. But here I am, I'm doing the best to do the job the American people sent me here to do. But with all this ruckus in Washington these days, we have to work harder and harder to sort of be heard through the din. So my staff worked up a few new ideas that we thought might break through. I want you to be the judge. After all, it's your den. Here are the suggestions. Take a cue from the TV show Ellen. Start a rumor that in the last presidential press conference of the season, my character will become a libertarian. Announce that we discovered signs of life on Mars. We already tried that. And some of you bought it. I couldn't believe it. Announce that I will fight Evander Holyfield. Anytime, any place. Here's the Vice President's suggestion. Sign an executive order hiring people on welfare to install computers in our nation's classrooms, to email messages to neighborhood watch volunteers, to use their cell phones, to call 100,000 community police officers, to remind the 1 million literacy tutors to show up for work. If all else fails, push myself down a flight of stairs. As you know, that's the one we decided to go with. It worked for a while, and I'd do it again. I may have to. Thank you very much, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be pleased to learn that former President Bush has just successfully jumped the Snake River Canyon on a rocket-powered motorcycle. Now he's just taunting me. You know, one of the results of being bummed up for a while is that I've gotten to watch a lot more television than normal, and I spent a day in the hospital just sort of channel flipping, surfing, that's what you call it now. And I was amazed at the way all these different channels struggle to accurately but uniquely cover my surgery. C-SPAN, of course, provided live, uninterrupted coverage of my injured knee, while C-SPAN 2 devoted full coverage to my other knee. Within an hour of the accident, CNN had composed ominous theme music and put up a graphic, breaking news, breaking knees. I knew it was going to be a major story when their headline news devoted a full 5 seconds to it. MSNBC immediately proclaimed itself the state-of-the-art global interactive command center for all leg-related news. ESPN broke into the North Carolina-Colorado basketball game with a breathless bulletin that Greg Norman was just fine. PBS kept interrupting coverage of my knee for pledge drives. For every $100 donation, you got a commemorative x-ray of my leg. Bob Novak went on Crossfire to argue the positive aspects of debilitating knee injuries for Democrats. And then there was MTV. All they wanted to know was, did I wear a hospital gown or pajamas? Thank you, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, President Bush has just had himself manacled, placed inside a padlocked trunk, and submerged off the coast of Kennebunkport. The clock is ticking. Our prayers are with him. Anyway, I'm back on my feet, and I'm working for the American people. Congress is back in session this week. That came as a surprise to people in Washington who didn't know it was away. Things have been so slow this year, C-SPAN's actually showing reruns of the 104th Congress. And we can't get agreement to change the consumer price index. That's the hang-up on this whole budget deal. And there are Democrats and Republicans in the House, they're scared to death of it. But you know, a small change in the CPI could shave billions of dollars from the deficit, add years and years to the life of the Social Security Trust Fund. Now, I know this is a complicated issue for some people, and I've been looking for some simple way to explain it. And so consider how we might reindex some other statistics. For example, a report said last month that we Americans are the heaviest people in the world. Working together, reaching across party lines, we can change all that. Instead of 16 ounces to a pound, we'll say there's 20. That way, a person who weighs 260 pounds would weigh 160. 200 pounds would weigh 160. Think about it. Overnight, Democrats and Republicans can make America the thinnest nation in the world. Let me tell you, I'm doing the best I can, but actually I'm kind of hurting. The worst thing about this injury is it's hard to stand for long periods of time. And about this time I start to get tired. So I'm going to sort of sit down with a confession. When I signed that executive order banning cloning research, it was too late to do anything about an experiment or two that had already been started. But one of them has come in handy in moments like this. Bill, would you mind?
Mr. President, have a seat. By the way, I'd appreciate it if you'd refer to me as Mr. President. I think you've earned it. Mr. President, members of the House and Senate, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I'm also Bill Clinton. Typically, when I come in to mop up at the end of an event like this, I'll just finish reading from some prepared text and say things like, "We must find common ground." "We're going to build a bridge to the 21st century." "I'll have to refer you to Lanny Davis on that one." Yada, yada, yada.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
This is odd. Evidently, George Bush has successfully escaped and has been spotted swimming toward the coast of Maine. Hell does that mean? Well, where was I? Oh yeah, you know what I would like to tell you all about tonight? How much I hate waiting around to see if I'm going to pinch hit for him today. It's demeaning. It's dehumanizing. I don't know how Al Gore's put up with it all these years. But I shouldn't complain. I mean, if you're going to be a clone, you're not going to do a whole lot better than being a clone of the President of the United States. The key to being a clone is making sure you're the clone of somebody cool. Let's face it, this gig could be a whole lot worse. Imagine waking up and finding out you're a Bob Dornan clone. Sitting up all night counting votes. It is not for the squeamish. I did get some work done. I had a meeting with some members of Congress about some chemical weapons, some treaty type thing. Mr. President, remind me, are we for that or against it? We're for it. I'll tell you what, I do love that red phone. Oh, by the way, maybe you ought to be the one to call Yeltsin back and apologize. If I call him again, I'll just make it worse. I'll come back up here. Mr. President of the United States.
I have to take this over before it gets out of hand. God knows I can't afford to jeopardize my relationship with the press corps. But I want to thank you, Bill, or Mr. President. By the way, I wrote up a to-do list for you for the next couple of days. As usual, there's the morning jog. You have to do that now. Tomorrow at 3:30, I have a conflict. I have a root canal appointment and a press conference in the East Room. I know it's going to hurt, but would you mind doing the press conference? No, wait a minute. I couldn't ask anybody else to do that, even me. Actually, I enjoy these press conferences, and I enjoy coming here every year. I thank you all for what you've done to sustain our democracy for nearly 225 years. Our country is still a work in progress, and I look forward to building on that progress with you. I even look forward to these dinners, and I really wouldn't want to send anyone else in my place. So I want to thank all of you for having Hillary, me, and me here this evening. In closing, let me say, we must find common ground. We are going to build that bridge to the 21st century. I do have to refer you to Lanny Davis on that one. Yada, yada, yada. Good night, and thank you very much.
Macdonald.
All right. I won't be as funny as that last bit. Just so you know, Well, good evening, Mr. President, Mrs. First Lady, and the distinguished members of the Radio and Television Correspondents Dinner. When I accepted the honor of performing here tonight, one thought crossed my mind, and that was, please, God, don't let me bomb in front of the president. But I'm not worried. What the hell do I care? I worked on all my jokes. I got a lot of help from my joke writer, Don Imus. He was helped me a lot. Are you familiar? You know this guy? He's a funny guy. He wrote some jokes. Anyways, the dinner was great. You enjoy the dinner? We had some salmon. It was delicious. It was great, and I thought it was refreshing to see Democrats serve something other than subpoenas for a change. I thought that was nice. I'll be doing some jokes later. I just thought I'd. But it is rather daunting to me. I'm just a guy. What the hell am I? And here I am, I look out, I see President Bill Clinton, I see Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, media mogul Rupert Murdoch, broadcast legend Larry King, pornographer Larry Flint, Dick Morris. The list is starting to drop off a little, folks, but still, you get the idea. It's daunting. And of course, it was very inspiring to see President Clinton up here on crutches making a speech. I thought that was just amazing, it's been difficult for the president. He can't jog now, and he needs help getting around, and he still occasionally suffers great pain, On the upside, you got your medical marijuana, so that's, you know. You must inhale, sir. It's the only way you're going to get better. It's. But it's odd. I mean, I think this is the first time that I can remember that we've had a president that has hobbled, you know, and it's tough on everybody. The Secret Service, it's not easy on the Secret Service. They have had to learn, you know, how to do this, and they've been specially trained on how to lift and carry President Clinton by top experts who've been doing this for a long time. Boris Yeltsin's Secret Service agents. They've stepped in to help, you know. And anyways, excuse me, I'm sorry, folks. Larry Flint and Dick Morris are giving some sort of hand signals to each other over there. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but it's kind of hard to concentrate. Larry Flint is here tonight. But also present this evening, Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State. Ms. Albright's been very busy, you know. She just returned from Russia, where she, you know, applied for her? Yeah, Madeleine Albright. She's been very busy. She just went to Russia, where she met with Boris Yeltsin, you know, and they had some talk on NATO expansion. I guess they kind of had a tense meeting, you know, when Ms. Albright came back out. She said, for this I travel 5,000 miles to meet with some drunken Meshuggah? On my worst enemy, I wouldn't wish this. This is... She's changed, you know? That's what I find. She's... But of course, looking around the room, I also see many distinguished members of the Fourth Estate. I see Brian Gumbel is here, and he just signed a multi-year contract, of course, with CBS. And, you know, he took some time off to be with his family after the Today Show, but Bryant in his heart, you know, is a newsman. And after a few weeks, he realized, you know, that he missed the excitement and thrill that you can only get by making millions and millions of dollars. So... And Dan Rather, of course, is here. He's a broadcast legend. I love Dan Rather. You know, I talked to him backstage, and it was a real thrill for me, you know. And he was so excited to be here, you know. I was backstage with him. I've never seen him so excited. At one moment, I remember he broke into a huge frozen smile. And it was... There it is again. There it is. Take a look. That's the huge frozen smile I'm talking about. But we got a lot of power here, a lot of juice. Mr. Rule Arledge is here, of course, the chairman of ABC News, you know, and a lot of crazy stories coming out of that division, you know. You know, stories about this person sleeping with that person and all that, you know. Scandal after scandal. If you heard the latest, I heard this just the other day. There's a rumor that last week, a certain, I don't want to say who it is, a certain gentleman in ABC News, he went to a party and he got really drunk and he ended up having sex with his own wife. I don't know. I don't know how these rumors get started, but you know, it's probably just a vicious rumor, really, you know. But as Mr. Arledge knows, of course, TV has become a very tough game. You got to stay competitive, you know. As we all know, ABC's Good Morning America is in a little turmoil, you know, a little trouble, a little rating trouble. And they're considering a lot of ways now, you know, to boost the ratings. And I don't know, I think they're getting a little desperate. I heard that next week Charles Gibson will announce he's a lesbian. I mean, is that going to help anything? Nobody wants to hear that. Martha Stewart is here, and she wanted me to tell you, don't let the busboys clear your table off tonight, because a little later Martha will come up here, and she's going to show us how to take those old discarded fish bones and make a beautiful birdhouse. So... That's nice. I'm very nervous. I don't know why. Before I sip this coffee, actually, sir, how much is it? How much would a cup of coffee cost in a place like this? Nothing, it's free? Okay, great. I didn't want to get, I didn't want to see $90,000 on my bill later. I'm sorry. And of course, there are some important Washington figures who couldn't be here tonight. Vice President Al Gore is not here. Unfortunately, he broke down and they had to leave him in the shop overnight. But they say he'll be all right later. Something wrong with the voice box or something. I don't know what it was. House Speaker Newt Gingrich is not here. A little while back, of course, everybody knows that Newt pushed through a lot of budget cuts in the arts, particularly in PBS, and the effects are being felt now. I can see it, even as a layman, just watching. The other day, I watched that show, the Frugal Gourmet. It changed its name to the Cheap Bastard. I mean, it's crazy. And Senator Ted Kennedy couldn't be here. There's a lot of jokes about Ted Kennedy, but I recently watched an interview. It was very touching. Ted was talking about, or Mr. Kennedy. What the hell am I calling him Ted for? Senator Kennedy was talking about how he proposed to his lovely wife Vicki Reggie, and it was very touching. It was a different side of Ted Kennedy that you don't see. He was very old-fashioned or romantic. When he made the proposal, it was very nice. He got up on one knee and he. It was nice, You hear all the stories, but then you hear something like that, and it makes you. I'm starting to relax now, I think I'm relaxing a little. And that's not just the booze talking. I think I really am relaxing. It's the Xanax, the Prozac, and the booze talking. But no, I'm a little nervous, who the hell am I? But it's been great to be in Washington, I can tell you that, man. Oh my God, I had a lovely stay here so far. I've been sightseeing, and in fact, I stopped at a museum. This is probably interesting to you guys. They have this news museum now. Have you seen this? It's a museum that's dedicated to broadcast journalism, and they have all sorts of, tributes to Edward R. Murrow and such, and they have this one fascinating place. It's a kind of an interactive display, and visitors, what they can do is they can appear on camera and pretend that they are real journalists, So far, it's been visited 20 times by Matt Lauer, but I guess he's a legend, too. I didn't know. You got Murrow, Severide, Edwards, and Lauer. All right. And also today I took a visit to the White House. For any of you who haven't taken a visit to the White House, unbelievable. So, awe-inspiring and, very lot of rich in history, so beautiful, Although I did notice a kind of an odd sign on the president's desk. It said, the yen stops here. Have you seen it? What the hell's that mean? The yen? I thought it was the buck stops here, I'd always heard. Of course, they say the White House is haunted. Did you know that? And I thought this was kind of sad. I heard last night that President Clinton charged Abraham Lincoln's ghost $10,000 to sleep in his own bed. So that doesn't seem right to me, I mean. No. But look, the president, has come under a lot of fire for raising money, but he's good at raising money. That's not a bad thing. Every president's done it. It's just that President Clinton is very, very, very good at it. Do you know he has organized in the past year over 100 fundraising dinners and over 200 fundraising midnight snacks? Did you know that? Is he laughing? Is he? Is he? No, but Mr. President, seriously, you know, I know you've had to work through a lot of distractions in doing the business of running this country, and I just want to say, you know, that I implore you, stay focused and do the job, and try to remember, you know, that Rome was not built in a day, you know. I mean, just ask Strom Thurmond, he'll tell you. It was not built in a day. He's an old fella, you know, folks. How would you not know that? Oh, I have an announcement to read. I almost forgot. I was told to make this announcement. Table 10, wherever you are, table 10. We're sorry your waitress hasn't been there in a while. Larry King just married her. So. So.